Well, good afternoon and welcome in to That Healthy Talk Show. I'm Dr. Wayne Schikowitz. It's high noon in Chicago, and we're so happy to have you along with us on this Wednesday. We do this every Wednesday between noon and 1 o'clock. Dr. Dan Richardson, usually my co-host, well, he's out and about on vacation, but we have Colonel Metcha with us, who is also a naturopathic doctor. And Colonel, welcome to the program.
Well, thank you, Dr. Schikowitz. Pleasure to be back in the studio. You know, last time I was here was Halloween of '08.
And you still got your costume on.
I still have my costume on, but it's great to see Mr. Gentile. We said hello to him.
Yes, we did.
Mr. DeVita and Joey. I haven't seen him since the big party we had.
Yes.
To celebrate the 15th anniversary of the station.
Well, you know, today's show is going to be very interesting because we're going to be talking about naturopathic medicine. Mm-hmm. And I know you've done a lot of research on nephropathy, and I'd like to begin with, you know, we have medical doctors who are sometimes called allopaths, mm-hmm. and we have doctors that go to school to become DOs, which are osteopathic doctors or osteopaths, and then we have something like NDs that are called naturopaths, and then of course there's chiropractic. And now there's another field that is called nephropathy or naturopathic medicine. Can you tell us a little bit about what is naturopathic medicine?
Well, naturopathic medicine was established, founded by Dr. Oakley Smith, who actually was trained as a chiropractor. He was a graduate of the second chiropractic class in Davenport, Iowa. He graduated in 1899.
Palmer College?
From the Palmer College. And from there, he struggled with chiropractic medicine. He actually was one of the first authors of chiropractic medicine's first textbook called Modernized Chiropractic, which was published in 1906. So along with other early graduates of chiropractic medicine, they worked on, well, some of those people would be Dr. Salone Langworthy and Dr. Minora Paxson. So they, all three of them, worked on the first textbook of chiropractic and established the second chiropractic college in the country. That was in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. But by 1905 and during this period, 1906, Dr. Oakley Smith, who was one of the early definers of the subluxation theory, which was the primary theory that guided chiropractic medicine.
What exactly is subluxation?
Subluxation, at least in those early days, the 1899, the early 1900s, it was thought that a movement among the vertebrae would cause an impaction on various nerves and blood vessels. The reality is that an actual movement of vertebrae is very rare in medicine. It does occur. I mean, it can occur from a trauma or a congenital problem, but as Dr. D.D. Palmer thought, such a thing would be a very rare phenomenon. So Dr. Oakley Smith tried to verify the theory of subluxation, but he couldn't. And even though, as I said, he, along with Dr. Minora Paxson and Dr. Salone Langworthy, wrote the first textbook of chiropractic, came up with the defining definitions. By 1905, he was truly struggling with the theories, and at that time, he came up with something else. He discovered what later became known as a ligotite, and what that was scar tissue in ligamentous material, in ligamentous tissue. So that became his revelation, or aha, or his eureka, that now I found something else to explain pathology, disease pathology. Instead of movement of vertebrae, it was scar tissue in ligaments and then other connective tissue, whether it be ligament, tendon, fascia, etc. So that discovery was made on the 16th of November, 1905, when in fact he was in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. At that time, 1905, he, along with the two other chiropractic doctors that I mentioned, were faculty of that second chiropractic college, the American College of Chiropractic in Cedar Rapids, Iowa.
Now, how did he term this to be? Where did he get the word nephropathy from?
Well, in this time period, the early 1900s, he had come across a number of people of Bohemian background who had skills in using their hands in terms of treating individuals. They were not doctors, they were lay people, but they had these skills to treat the spine, to treat people. Now, at the time, actually, the late 1800s, a number of these lay practitioners were to be found all along the Mississippi River, where the Bohemian population had been settling, whether it be along the Mississippi River in Iowa, Wisconsin, and so a few years ago, I mean, just in my case, just a few years ago, when I started my research, I was of the assumption that he went to Bohemia to learn these techniques. Well, he went to Bohemia much later. He learned these techniques in America. He learned these techniques in Iowa from people of Bohemian background. And so at this time period, 1905, not only
now they practiced something called napravit. Right?
They used the word napravich, which has generally means among the Slavic languages to fix something. For instance, in Polish, it would mean not to fix a person, but would be to fix something like a clock, to fix a piece of machinery. But in the Bohemian language, there's a nuance that would imply fixing a human being. So back in Bohemia,
when we say fixing, you mean mechanically fixing them,
mechanically fixing. So it was a good word, because the Bohemian speakers, if I can just back up 1 second,
sure.
See, we're dealing with language nuances. So when people talk about nephropathy being of Czech background, that sort of thing, well, think of the old Czechoslovakia up until 1991. Czechoslovakia had 3 regions. To the western region was Bohemia. The capital of Bohemia was Prague, just like it is the capital of Czech Republic today. To the east of Czechoslovakia was Slovakia, and now it's Slovak Republic. And then in the middle was Moravia. Well, each of these regions have essentially the same language, but there are nuances and differences. So there are differences between Moravian, Slovakian, and Bohemian. So in the general area of Eastern Europe, someone who speaks Czech, sure, they can understand another Slavic language like Polish or Ukrainian, but there are very important nuances. So that's what we're struggling with, some nuances. But
so they were practicing the napravit.
They were,
and he went to see what they were doing over there by the Mississippi River in these little towns.
Exactly. In fact, he learned. It took me years to find out exactly who he learned from, but I'd say the principal individuals that he learned from were a father and son, and it took me years to find out who they were, but their picture is depicted in the first textbook that he wrote, which I said was
Modernized
Modernized Chiropractic, 1906. So if you open up that book, the first picture that you see is an old man they're on a house, a porch of this house, and there was a younger man laying down on the porch. And so this old man is adjusting the young man's back. Well, that was the father. The old man was the father. The son, and the son was the patient. And the best I can do at this time is tell you that his name, he was referred to as Pan Kliversky. Now, the word Pan, I thought Pan was a name, but actually in the Slovak languages, Pan would be the equivalent of Mister.
Okay,
So those were those were his first teachers, and obviously he went to others in the area, in Iowa, and learned from these people of Bohemian background.
this must have been something that was practiced back in Europe, this type of technique.
Absolutely, it was an ancient technique. How far these manual manipulations go back, I can't say. But as some of my background, I'm a trained anthropologist. I have a bachelor's degree and a master's degree in anthropology, and this trying to uncover the truth and the history and what was really going on fascinates me from that dimension. But how it could have been practiced in that part of the world, Central Europe, back to Celtic times.
If we have anybody listening right now that is of Bohemian descent, or Slovak or Moravian, and if you remember something maybe that you recall from your grandparents or from someone in your family, that you remember someone practicing in your family that was doing the Paravit, 708-493-1530, 708-493-1530 is the telephone number. We'd love to put you on the radio, and maybe you can explain what maybe your grandfather or great-grandfather did in the old country, or something here in the United States. Again, 708-493-1530. So he went to learn these techniques.
Mm-hmm.
He was a chiropractor.
He was a chiropractor.
And he went to learn to do more to understand, because he wasn't quite sure of the subluxation theory, is what I'm understanding. So he went to learn more about it, came back to Iowa, and then began to do some research?
Well, what happened was, I mentioned the 16th of November 1905 when he was observing ligament material with his microscope, when he found the scar tissue that they called the ligatite. But in addition to theory, the practice of spinal manipulation and how to adjust a person, those are the techniques that he was learning from these Bohemian people who were living in Iowa at the time. I just assumed for years that he went to Bohemia and learned these techniques. Well, to the best of my knowledge, he never went to Europe until 1909. The first time he took a ship to Europe was the summer of 1909. He also returned in 1911 and in 1915 when he got married. But most of his techniques were actually learned right here in the United States.
We're talking today about naturopathic medicine, nephropathy, and we have Dr. Colonel Metcha, who is a naturopath, with us, and we're also taking your phone calls concerning nephropathy at 708-493-1530. When we come back, I would like to know more about Dr. Oakley Smith, his childhood. I understand he was very, very sick and ill as a boy. I'd like to learn more about that. But we have to take a quick break. When we come back, more of That Healthy Talk Show on AM 1530 WJJG Chicago. Do you suffer from pain? Do you know someone that has constant pain of their low back, neck, shoulder, knee, or wrist? Have they tried medications, exercise, physical therapy, or chiropractic, and nothing seemed to make it better? Well, I may have your answer. Why not try a napropath? Hi everybody, this is Dr. Wayne Chickowitz, and I've been practicing 30 years treating pain. I'm board certified and hold a diplomate in pain management. For your convenience, we have 2 locations. In Cicero, 3602 South 61st Avenue, 708-656-7000, or in Villa Park at 122 West St. Charles Road, Suite 1A, 630-833-4007. Why not try a napropath and stop the pain today? Hi, this is Dr. Wayne Chickowitz, wanting to tell you about a great new medical association called the American College of Physical Medicine. The American College of Physical Medicine is a medical association devoted to physical and functional medicine. We provide continuing medical education for 14 different healthcare professions here in the Chicagoland area. If you are a massage therapist, physical therapist, naprapathic or athletic trainer, podiatrist, social worker, or professional counselor, or many more interested in continuing medical education for your license renewal, please look us up at www.acopm.org. You can also reach us by telephone at 847-521-ACPM. That's the American College of Physical Medicine.
AM 1530, WJJG.
Let's get back to that healthy talk show with Dr. Wayne Chickowitz on AM 1530 WJJG.
Hey, Kimosabi, we are back, and it is Hump Day Wednesday in Chicago, 17 minutes past the hour of high noon, and we're talking today about naprapathic medicine. We talked a little bit about Dr. Oakley Smith, how he founded naprapathy. Let's go back to who is Dr. Oakley Smith, his childhood, understanding that he was a very... what kind of a child was he, and how did he get interested in chiropractic? And maybe you could enlighten us a little bit,
Sure.
Colonel Metcha.
Dr. Oakley Smith was born in 1880, January 1880, in West Branch, Iowa. That's just a little to the east of Iowa City, on a farm. And it was considered in that area a very prosperous farm. By the way, West Branch, Iowa is where President Herbert Hoover was born, and there's a presidential library in that town right now. But by the age of 4, Dr. Oakley Smith contracted scarlet fever. And that left him, he survived, but that left him quite weak. The parents were very concerned about his health. And the parents who were dedicated to his recovery, his complete recovery, were willing to just do everything possible. And so at that time, they brought him to one of the best medical doctors in the area, a Dr. Hauser, and all kinds of medications were used, but there was no real benefit. But the family didn't stop there. They were willing, they were open-minded enough to try everything that was available to them. They traveled to a homeopathic doctor, and they eventually brought the young Dr. Oakley Smith to Davenport, Iowa, and actually Kirksville, Missouri. Before Davenport, they went to visit with the son of the founder of osteopathic medicine. So osteopathic medicine was founded by Dr. Andrew Still, and that was in Kirksville, Missouri. So the young Oakley Smith did meet with the son of the founder of osteopathic medicine, had some relief, and then, but not enough. And the family then heard about chiropractic being practiced in Davenport, Iowa. So the family brought the young Oakley Smith to the chiropractic clinic that was just starting at that time. And I might have mentioned in the first part that, Dr. Oakley Smith ended up a student of Dr. D.D. Palmer, the founder of chiropractic, and graduated from the second class. So his background was the family was willing to try all kinds of things. I even left out that when Oakley Smith was a young boy, the family was willing to get up and move all the way to Oregon just to participate in the water cures of that time. They thought there was a beneficial healing spring in Oregon. So the family was willing to do everything, absolutely everything, to help their son.
What really made him better?
What made him better was he felt the best relief from chiropractic, and that's why he was enrolled in the school. In fact, the father paid the bill, and in those days, tuition was expensive. $18.99 is when we're talking about, and tuition was $500. But he enrolled in the school, and as I said, he graduated in the second class. School at that time, chiropractic school, was only about 6 months. So, and he did write about his educational experience there. He said the educational experience was essentially no education. I mean, there were no textbooks. Excuse me. There was no textbooks. There was no lectures. There were no. They weren't writing on blackboards. I mean, this is the kind of language that he was using, and so that upset him tremendously. So upon graduation, he decided to pursue medical training. He enrolled at the University of Iowa Medical School in the fall of 1899, and he just continued trying to develop his own techniques. So he already was familiar with osteopathic medicine. He was now familiar with chiropractic, because now he's a trained chiropractic practitioner, but he wanted to add to that inventory, add to his knowledge. So learn what he needed to learn from an allopathic medical school, but then continue learning, inventing techniques on his own. But his big breakthrough was finding Bohemian practitioners.
708-493-1530. That's our telephone number. If you've been to a naturopath, if you have a comment about naturopathic medicine, or if you have someone in your family that might have been in the Bohemian country that practiced something like Napravit, I'd love to hear from you. Again, 708-493-1530. So when Dr. Oakley Smith founded that November the 16th that you had said, what did he do after he founded? Did he begin a school to teach people this technique, or what exactly was his mission?
Well, what happened when he discovered the ligatite, I mentioned the 16th of November 1905, he was, at that time in Cedar Rapids, Iowa, he was on faculty at the Second Chiropractic College, the American College of Chiropractic, along with Dr. Sloan Langworthy, who actually established the college, and Dr. Minora Paxson. And so he started there in 1904. He was invited by his friend, Dr. Sloan Langworthy, who was a graduate of the 1901 class of chiropractic, but he was invited by his friend to be on faculty at this newly established college, and actually he was the dean of faculty at the time. So he was living in Cedar Rapids that night that he found the ligatite. Now he remained there, and along with them, Dr. Sloan Langworthy and Dr. Minora Paxson, they wrote Modernized Chiropractic, which was published in 1906. So he remained there teaching, and he actually, almost immediately upon discovering the ligatite back in November of 1905, he brought that to his classes. He started teaching those principles at the American College of Chiropractic. So the first students ever to really hear about the ligatite and some of these techniques were actually at that chiropractic college in Cedar Rapids. It took him until 1908 to determine that he needs to break away completely and and he came to Chicago, where he wanted to start a college of naturopathic medicine. And up until that time, he was using the term modernized chiropractic. So up until 1908, he felt that, I have this improved upon
Technique.
Improved upon theory, improved upon techniques of chiropractic. So he saw himself as a chiropractor first and foremost. But in 1908, he decided that he had really a new field, that he needed to distance himself from chiropractic. And it was at this time, 1908, that Dr. D.D. Palmer was having trouble. He was having difficulty in,
Health-wise?
Well, no, legal-wise.
Oh,
they were
really?
having all kinds of legal problems, and also Dr. D.D. Palmer was having problems with his own son, Dr. B.J. Palmer. And so I think why naturopathic medicine, a big reason why naturopathic medicine broke away or tried to break away completely from chiropractic as well as osteopathic medicine, is because even though everyone knew each other, they were having difficulty with each other. They were having tension. They were having debate with each other. They were angry with each other. And I think that's part of the reason.
So what did he do in 1908?
So in 1908, he decided to make a big break. And he decided that he needed to come to Chicago because Chicago was essentially a mecca of medicine at that time, and outside of the East Coast. So from the Midwest all the way to the West Coast, Chicago was a principal medical community. So he decided to come to Chicago and establish a new school, not call it a chiropractic school, but call it by the new term. And he wanted to expand on that naprovit word. And so he developed the word napropathy. So naprovit, to fix, pathy, which is a common word combining word in medicine, which means pathos or pathology, so to fix pathology, fix disease. And he decided to
Coin that word.
Coin that term
Yeah.
in a formal way, versus using it informally, but in a formalized way, and basically say this is a new discipline where we don't really have much in common anymore with chiropractic. In fact, that's almost his exact words as he wrote them in 1908.
Well, when we come back, I would like to talk about how he developed his first school and where naturopathy took off, right after 1908. But all that and more, it's That Healthy Talk Show. Today's topic, naturopathic medicine. Dr. Colonel Metcha is a naturopath, and we're talking with him about the history of naturopathy. And we'll get back to more on AM 1530 after we take a quick break. Again, our phone number, 708-493-1530. If you'd like to shed a comment, 708-493-1530. It's 27 minutes past the hour of high noon on 1530 Chicago. Hi, this is Dr. Wayne Chickowitz, wanting to tell you about a great new medical association called the American College of Physical Medicine. The American College of Physical Medicine is a medical association devoted to physical and functional medicine. We provide continuing medical education for 14 different healthcare professions here in the Chicagoland area. If you are a massage therapist, physical therapist, naturopath, athletic trainer, podiatrist, social worker, or professional counselor, or many more interested in continuing medical education for your license renewal, please look us up at www.acopm.org. You can also reach us by telephone at 847-521-ACPM. That's the American College of Physical Medicine. Do you suffer from pain? Do you know someone that has constant pain of their low back, neck, shoulder, knee, or wrist? Have they tried medications, exercise, physical therapy, or chiropractic, and nothing seemed to make it better? Well, I may have your answer. Why not try a naturopath? Hi everybody, this is Dr. Wayne Chickowitz, and I've been practicing 30 years treating pain. I'm board certified and hold a diplomate in pain management. For your convenience, we have 2 locations. In Cicero, 3602 South 61st Avenue, 708-656-7000, or in Villa Park at 122 West St. Charles Road, Suite 1A, 630-833-4007. Why not try a napropath and stop the pain today?
AM 1530, WJJG.
Let's get back to that healthy talk show with Dr. Wayne Chickowitz on AM 1530 WJJG.
And we are back with that healthy talk show. Dr. Wayne Chickowitz here, Dr. Dan Richardson on vacation, and we have a guest co-host, and that is Colonel Dr. Mecha, who is a napropath, graduated in 01?
01, graduated in 01.
Yeah,
Got my license in 02.
Yeah, and practices, we'll talk later on about where your practice is at, Doctor. All right, so Dr. Oakley Smith came to Chicago and then decided to open up a school to teach other people the field of naturopathic medicine. And so where was the school, and what was the name of the school?
Well, the school, when he came in the fall of 1908, he established a school which was originally called the Oakley Smith College of Naturopathy, and he established that on Marshfield Street, Marshfield not far from where the county hospital is. That was really, when I was talking about the mecca of medicine, where the county hospital is where a number of hospitals are even to this day. He basically bought a brownstone house, which is no longer there, but he established a school on Marshfield, and he established a private office on Madison and State. So he operated both the college and his own private office. And by the way, his personal residence was on Lexington Street at this time. And the amazing thing is that he appears to have been almost just amazingly successful right from the start. He was seeing about, at least he wrote in his notes, he was seeing about 20 patients a day. So it's just phenomenal how today, here we are in 2010, and we were struggling with, people heard the term naturopathic medicine, but it was just amazing in 1908 how successful he was in just short order.
So he had his school. Was it a successful school? Did he have a lot of graduates? Did he have a lot of attendees that attended the Oakley Smith College of Naturopathy?
Actually, he did, and one of those graduates turned out to be his brother-in-law, and his name was, and he became of course, a doctor of naturopathy, Roger Arnold, and so Dr. Oakley Smith married a woman, a young woman from this area, around 1915, and when they were married, when you take a look at the marriage notices, Dr. Oakley Smith was considered prominent he was considered prominent in Chicago circles. And so it's just amazing. He was a success pretty much overnight.
What's interesting is when the college had its centennial, the graduating class had an Arnold in it.
Uh-huh.
Isn't that interesting? 100 years later, and we had an Arnold, and we have now a Dr. Arnold that is practicing here in the Chicagoland area. Okay, so how long did he keep this college going, the Oakley Smith College of Naturopathy?
Well, he moved to another location on Washington Street, and that.
Do we have any addresses by any chance of any of these schools where they were located, in case someone is kind of?
I do have addresses. I wish I was looking at some better notes right now in terms of where they were.
Okay.
But he moved to another location from Marshfield to Washington, and that college, and actually in 1949, a competing college of naturopathy was formed.
But did he keep the name Oakley Smith, or
No, he
in
dropped that
Washington?
name.
He dropped
He
it?
dropped the name when he moved from Marshfield, and at his new location, it became known as the Chicago College of Naturopathy. So he just dropped his personal name from the college. And then in 1949, the competing college was called the National College of Naturopathy.
And why did that happen?
Well, that happened because Dr. Oakley Smith felt that his program only needed to be 2 years long. He wrote about that many times. He insisted on that. It just needed to be a 2-year program. And a number of the graduates and faculty felt that a lot more needed to be taught, and the program needed to be expanded. There needed to be a lot more of the basic science type courses that you would get in a regular medical school. So now I think right from the beginning, naturopathic medical schools were very good in terms of teaching anatomy. And even Dr. Oakley Smith said in his notes that he would take any of his students and have them one-on-one with any student from a regular medical school, and he felt that they would run circles around that person in terms of anatomy. But there were other basic sciences that were probably being neglected: the biochemistries, the physiology, the embryology, and things like that. So
He just didn't think it was necessary.
he wanted to be, even though he struggled, as I said, with all this science, because I mentioned he went to the chiropractic college. He was an early graduate. He spent time at the University of Iowa Medical School. So he spent time with the basic sciences, but when it came time for him to having his own school, he felt that it was more important to focus in on what was practical. He felt that anatomy was important, but
and the National College of Naturopathic or National College of Naturopathy was located where?
I believe that was on Illinois Street, but
Are any of these buildings still there?
the building is still there. Where the National College was is, there's a program on this radio station. I believe it's on Monday mornings, the I Am Religion program,
Yes.
where their I Am Temple is today. Across the street was where the National. Well, no, I take it back. It was in that building.
Same building.
The same building up on the second floor. So
So is
the
that
building
Illinois
is-
Street, Illinois, and where? You don't have that. Okay.
I don't have the address.
So,
but if
the
anyone,
building, but the building is still there.
The building is
and how
still
about
there.
the building on Washington Street? Is that still around?
the buildings are still there, but the colleges, the two colleges, both the Chicago College of Naturopathy and the National College of Naturopathy, decided to merge.
And when did
And
this happen?
That was actually 1974, and they moved to where the National College of Naturopathy was located at the time, which is where they are today. 3030 North Milwaukee Avenue. That was the second location
For
of
the National?
of the National College of Naturopathy.
Oh, okay. So they moved then from Illinois Street to 3330
Right.
North Milwaukee Avenue, and the two of them merged with a new name.
With a new name. The new name in 1974 became the Chicago National College of Naturopathy, and that name was changed again in 2004 to the National College of Naturopathic Medicine. So same location, though, where it is today.
And tell us about the Kern School at 3330 North Milwaukee Avenue.
Mhm. Well, I'm a graduate of that college, and I've enjoyed my.
It's in a neighborhood, a
education
regular
there.
neighborhood.
Well,
Right? It's not in the medical district.
It's not far from where I grew up.
Yeah.
So it's basically the current location is essentially my.
And it's
my
a
backyard.
four-year school.
It's a 4-year program.
with at least associates to get in, but preferred bachelors to get
Right.
in.
Mhm.
And then you have 4 years. You have a year of internship,
Yes.
and then you need to take basic science courses,
Mhm.
along with naturopathic
Yes.
medicine
Yes.
technique courses,
Mhm.
and then you take a national board before you get into the clinic, and then after a year of doing your clinic work, you are able to take the state licensing examination from the Department of Professional Regulations.
Yes.
Okay, so it's interesting that the school is now, well over 100 years that they've been around, because you said it was in 1908 that the school was formulated, and we're still graduating today young people that are interested in naturopathy.
We are, but I will say that even though naturopathic medicine is so affiliated, so strongly affiliated, its history is so established in Chicago, it's amazing that how popular naturopathic medicine is in other places, like Scandinavia. Here in Illinois, we might have difficulty explaining to someone, oh, I'm a naturopath, I'm a doctor of naturopathy, what does that mean? And but if you go to Scandinavia, it's a different story. In Scandinavia, all of Scandinavia, Sweden, Norway, Finland, all of Scandinavia, naturopathy is well established, well known. You'd have to explain chiropractic in
Is that right?
Scandinavia.
And there are more percentage of naturopaths
Very much so.
than chiropractic.
Overwhelmingly
Wow.
so. Overwhelmingly so. In fact, back in
You went there, did you not?
well, I didn't go to Scandinavia, but in '07, the Air Force sent me to San Diego to receive an award because we didn't mention I have a PhD in hospital administration, so I've been a healthcare executive, a hospital administrator for 20 years in the Air Force, and so this is clearly allopathic medicine, but I was there for a medical diplomate, and I was on one of the, what do we call the trains in San Diego? They're called trolley or tram or whatever they're called, but it's a beautiful system, by the way. And I was on one of these trains, and it was standing room only, and just a
Like
few
a streetcar? Or?
Well, they're not
No.
called streetcars. It's a
different
beautiful
terminology.
train type system that just great. I mean, you could get on the one line. It's called the Blue Line, and it'll take you all the way south to the border of Mexico.
Really?
It's fantastic in San Diego. So I was on one of these trains, and just a few feet away was a young couple, and I overheard that they were from Finland. I turned to the man, and I said, "Have you ever heard of naturopathic medicine?" And he said, "Oh, of course, yes, definitely. That's my doctor. He's the only one who's able to help my back pain." So yes, naturopathic medicine is well regarded, well respected throughout Scandinavia.
Now, here in the United States, we have Illinois. They license naturopaths.
Yes.
It's a licensed profession. Any other states that license them?
Well, New Mexico currently, but there was a time when there were many naturopathic colleges in the United States.
Is that right?
Many. There were there were 2 in Ohio. There was a school in Wisconsin. There were
Indiana, I believe there was one.
I believe in Indiana, but scattered all over. And in the 30s, I would say the year with probably the most naturopathic colleges was probably around 1936, because there were schools in South Africa, there were schools in Australia, Sydney, Australia. There was just a wide distribution of colleges around the world. So
Well, when we come back, I want to know why you became a naturopath. Okay.
okay.
It's 12:44 in Chicago, 16 minutes before the hour of 1 o'clock. I'm Dr. Wayne Chikowitz, and It's That Healthy Talk Show. Today's topic, naturopathic medicine, nephropathy, nephrovit, whatever you want to call it. That's what we're discussing with Colonel Dr. Mecha. And when we come back, we'll be discussing more about nephropathy right here on AM 1530 WJJG Chicago. Do you suffer from pain? Do you know someone that has constant pain of their low back, neck, shoulder, knee, or wrist? Have they tried medications, exercise, physical therapy, or chiropractic, and nothing seemed to make it better? Well, I may have your answer. Why not try a napropath? Hi everybody, this is Dr. Wayne Chickowitz, and I've been practicing 30 years treating pain. I'm board certified and hold a diplomate in pain management. For your convenience, we have two locations. In Cicero, 3602 South 61st Avenue, 708-656-7000, or in Villa Park at 122 West St. Charles Road, Suite 1A, 630-833-4007. Why not try a napropath and stop the pain today? Hi, this is Dr. Wayne Chickowitz, wanting to tell you about a great new medical association called the American College of Physical Medicine. The American College of Physical Medicine is a medical association devoted to physical and functional medicine. We provide continuing medical education for 14 different healthcare professions here in the Chicagoland area. If you are a massage therapist, physical therapist, napropath, athletic trainer, podiatrist, social worker, or professional counselor, or many more interested in continuing medical education for your license renewal, please look us up at www.acopm.org. You can also reach us by telephone at 847-521-ACPM. That's the American College of Physical Medicine.
AM 1530, WJJG.
Let's get back to That Healthy Talk Show with Dr. Wayne Chickowitz on AM 1530 WJJG.
And we're back with That Healthy Talk Show. I'm Dr. Wayne Chickowitz, and today's topic, naturopathic medicine. So I got to ask you, Colonel, here you have a PhD in hospital administration, and you're with the Air Force. What prompted you to go into nephropathy?
Excellent question. I'm still struggling to answer in a great way, such a basic question. It was more intuition than anything else. I felt that being in the allopathic world as a hospital executive, I felt that medicine was more than what we were doing, and the word allopathy is not so commonly used in the regular medicine field. It is the description of regular medicine. That is the correct word, but it's not used, and maybe the reason might be if you don't have a word to classify what you're doing, then you just think that, well, this is it, this is medicine, this is all there is. And I started to realize, well, no, there's got to be more, and that someday our hospitals, whether it be Air Force or a civilian hospital like Resurrection or Lutheran General, whatever, someday we're going to incorporate much more than what we're doing. We're going to incorporate more than just FDA drugs, more than...
And that is happening. Elmhurst Hospital is starting the Plane Tree, where they want to do more of the natural medicine. Mm-hmm. And we have a couple of napropaths that are on staff at St. Alexius. And they are, napropaths on staff of a hospital.
Yes. And when I first started to seriously look at this, it was really 1994. And in 1994, there was some presence. For instance, there was the American Holistic Center, which was kitty corner from DePaul University's library. And at that time, actually, even though they didn't identify themselves with a hospital, they really were being backed by Grant Hospital, which I believe no longer exists. But so there were some inroads. Hospitals were interested in somehow, someday, incorporating natural medicine to one degree or another. I think this revolution in terms of hospitals or mainstream medicine incorporating the various natural medicine disciplines, that really has been led by medical doctors. If one doesn't have an MD, they certainly have made contributions. They've come up with ideas, but the revolution, if a hospital is going to incorporate natural medicine, you really have to have both executives like myself, hospital administrators, and medical doctors simultaneously believing in this and willing to try something. So even in the Department of Defense, the Department of Defense over the years, and I did witness the change. Today, at 42 Department of Defense hospitals, we have chiropractors. At nearly all our hospitals, we grant the privilege of acupuncture and traditional osteopathic medicine. Now, the Department of Defense has been great when you look at the history of incorporating all kinds of practitioners who, for many years, were on the outside. I'll give you an example: podiatry. So podiatry is very much mainstream now, very much incorporated into regular medicine. You have podiatrists at all our
primary
hospitals.
care, I believe, in Illinois.
Yes. But there was a day that was not true. But it was the Department of Defense who brought podiatrists in to practice in their orthopedic department. So the Department of Defense, followed by the VA system, is really a great initiator of change in medicine. And what is on the outside now becomes on the inside, because what was talked about as is that quackery, suddenly it becomes respected, esteemed. So right now we're witnessing the Department of Defense bringing in chiropractic into their hospitals, at least 42 right now, mainstreaming acupuncture, mainstreaming traditional osteopathic medicine. I mentioned that because, osteopathic medicine in this country, in the United States, a DO practices pretty much the same as an MD, pretty much the same. But there was a time, I would say before 1957, that the osteopathic doctor was on the outside. The osteopathic doctor was not considered regular by any means.
Well, even in Illinois, I think at one time the osteopathic doctor had to only practice in an osteopathic hospital.
Correct.
And that was somewhere up north, the Chicago Hospital of Osteopathic Medicine.
I don't know the location, but you're absolutely right, since when osteopathic doctors wanted to practice in ways that were more reminiscent of what an MD was doing, well, they were finding they couldn't get on staff at most hospitals, so they had to form their own hospitals. So the key terminology is when you saw the title of a hospital, it was called Doctor's Hospital.
Mm-hmm.
That was usually the giveaway or the key clue that was an osteopathic hospital. But people, if this was before 1966, people, if they had an osteopathic doctor, they were completely sold on that osteopathic doctor's abilities. They thought that, my DO, my osteopathic doctor, he's holistic. He does have
He does manipulation.
They did have manipulation skills. They had by 1966 they had essentially all the same skills as an MD. They had and now today in 2010, some osteopathic doctors, it depends on what school they go to. Some are more familiar with their traditional osteopathic manipulations than others, and some are not. Right.
Interesting. And in the few minutes that we have, what made you or determined you to become a naturopath?
Well, in 1994, I was my title for the Air Force was Command Training Manager for Medical and Biological Sciences, and I reported to one of the Air Force Surgeon Generals, 2 minutes. So I was given responsibility for all the education and training of every medic we had in the command, and there were 6,200. And at that time, I was given the responsibility of, well, we don't have any chiropractors, but you're going to be in charge of their education and training as well. Well, that caused me to ask the question, gee, if I have to start preparing to train and educate and set standards for chiropractors, who else is out there that we might have to prepare for? So in 1994, I started to discover things like naturopathic medicine. I never heard the term before 1994. And I discovered naturopathic medicine. So the more I started to study these things, guess what? I got drawn into it.
You got drawn into it.
Totally.
Well, it's interesting that, it is a European word, nephropathy, and there has been a move to change the name to neuromyology or neuromyologist, because you're dealing with nerve and muscles. And primarily that's what a naturopath does, right?
Yes.
He primarily, it's a different type of technique where they're using bone as levers to stretch these tight ligaments, and they're really nerve muscle doctors or connective tissue specialist doctors, right?
Well, the number one problem is, if I can just leave one thought for our audience, naturopathic medicine has all this beautiful history. It certainly had a history with osteopathic medicine, chiropractic medicine, then went beyond and beyond and beyond. But the problem still in Illinois and the rest of this country is that maybe the word is the obstacle. The main obstacle for naturopathic medicine is the title. So no one still knows what that word doesn't mean.
Do you have a different word or title?
I wish. Quite honestly, I wish Dr. Oakley Smith stuck with modernized chiropractic, because chiropractic is a household word in this country. Maybe not in Sweden, but in this country it is, and maybe that would have helped us a little bit more, because that's the big problem with naturopathic medicine, is that it has much to offer, much it can do, but people have to know what this word means.
Right. Well, it's been an interesting hour. Can you just tell us where you practice? Give us an address and phone number.
Sure. I am at 5856 West Irving Park in a clinic titled, it's called on the door, Vita Herb Center and Natural Medicine Clinic. And I'm practicing with a fellow graduate. We graduated together.
Oh, nice.
Dr. Volodymyr Melnichuk. And by the way, he was a trained medical doctor. And the interesting thing is that he served as a medic in the Soviet Army, went to medical school, got his MD in Moscow, and here he is with me. So here we are. True detente, I'm an Air Force Lieutenant Colonel medical, but and we're practicing together.
How wonderful. Well, Colonel Mecha, thank you so much for sharing with us today on that Healthy Talk Show and stopping by. And hopefully you'll stop by again soon.
Dr. Chikowitz, it was a pleasure and great honor to be here. Thank you for asking me to join with you today and be back at the studio.
Thank you so much. And for all of you out there, thank you for being part of our radio listening audience. We're going to do it again next week, Wednesday at 12 o'clock. Until then, have a great week, and be safe. Bye-bye.
I wish you love my breaking heart, and I agree that you and I could.
WJJG Elmhurst.
You are listening to that Healthy Talk Show that was pre-recorded on Wednesday, August the 11th, the year 2010.